Oh, there he is. Great to see you. You doing well?
Walking firmly through the door, Mike Pompeo is a determined man. Both our Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and I had the opportunity to interview the Secretary of State. It was part politics, part policy, and part spiritual, especially for a strong Christian who experienced a refreshing in the Holy Land.
The Western Wall, I was there with you. What was that experience like? I mean, how impactful was something like that?
This was incredibly special to be there with the Israeli Prime Minister and the ambassador from the United States to Israel. Was really an important moment. It was special for me as a Christian, and it was special, I think, to show the commitment the United States has to this democracy, this Jewish nation of Israel.
President Trump showed that strong commitment again by announcing, through Twitter of course, that it's time for the U.S. to fully recognize Israel's sovereignty over the disputed Golan Heights. Music to the ears of the Israeli Prime Minister.
He did it again. First, he recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital and moved the U.S. embassy here. Then he pulled out of the disastrous Iran treaty and reimposed sanctions.
Netanyahu called it a Purim miracle as Jews around the world celebrate how God saved them through Esther from the evil Haman and the Persians. With modern-day Persians in Iraq threatening them now, and with President Trump boldly making moves in support of Israel, it begged for an obvious question.
Could it be that President Trump right now has been sort of raised for such a time as this, just like Queen Esther, to help save the Jewish people from an Iranian menace?
As a Christian, I certainly believe that's possible. It was remarkable. So we were down in the tunnels where we could see 3,000 years ago and 2,000 years ago, if I have the history just right, to see the remarkable history of the faith in this place and the work that our administration has done to make sure that this democracy in the Middle East of this Jewish state remains. I'm confident that the Lord is at work here.
But with all the benefits Israel has received from this administration, will there be a price to pay in the long-awaited Mideast peace plan?
What can you do to allay their fears of something like dividing Jerusalem in the upcoming peace plan?
So I've seen the details of the plan as it stands now. I'm sure there'll be things moved just a bit as time goes on. But evangelicals of the world should know that this is a vision for what might ultimately lead to this resolution of this conflict. And I think this plan presents a vision for that, but doesn't sacrifice any of these core principles, frankly, of any of the faiths.
As for the Jewish faith, attacks have been almost a way of life. Recently, anti-Semitism has seen a resurgence worldwide and even surfaced within the Democrat Party. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has come under fire for some of her remarks.
How concerned are you about the rise of not just anti-Semitism around the world, but in that Democrat Party as well?
To see this from a member of Congress like Congresswoman Omar, to speak about anti-Semitism in that way is of great concern. It's great concern to me. This administration speaks the truth. And anti-Semitism is unacceptable in any form from anyone, but to see it come from one of America's leaders is just abhorrent.
Another concern, especially among many evangelicals, was President Trump's announcement to pull troops out of Syria, putting Christians and many others in the region as sitting ducks. Since then, the administration now says a military presence will remain, something the Secretary of State backed up in our conversation.
The challenges in Syria remain. The United States intends to remain. We are close to the destruction of the caliphate. It will be completed very, very soon.
This job is not for the faint of heart. But the good news, so to speak, is that Pompeo says he's rooted in the most important thing.
The task that I have is informed by my understanding of my faith, my belief in Jesus Christ as the Savior. It doesn't drive answers and outcomes every day. We all as Christians are searching, but it does inform how I try to treat every human being with dignity and respect in ways that Christians ought to. I don't always live up to that standard, but it does inform the way I think about the world.
Well, David Brody joins us now from Jerusalem. David, Mike Pompeo is an amazing guy. What he had to say is remarkable.
Oh, for sure. And as a matter of fact, we were a bit surprised, Chris Mitchell and I, that he actually named Congressman Omar by name on foreign soil about anti-Semitism. That shows you how deep the political divide has become, Pat. And of course, the biblical comparison, Donald Trump and Queen Esther. And you can imagine anytime you put Donald Trump and a biblical figure together, you know, the media is going to go haywire. And apparently they already have after our report.
David, let me ask you, you know, the Democrats have had tremendous support among the Jewish community. I understand a number of the announced candidates for the presidency are not going to go to the AIPAC summit this week. What do you make of that?
Well, you know, it's funny. First of all, you're right. I mean, there are plenty of those Democrats running for president that won't make it. Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders. You can go down the list. Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke. They're all not going to be there. And it's just fascinating to watch, Pat. I mean, you know the deal with AIPAC throughout the years. It was Democrats showing up, Republicans showing up, and it was really a nonpartisan pro-Israel situation. But there is a major divide between what's going on in the Democrat Party today with that progressive, liberal, the AOC wing, as I like to call them. And you've got that. And then look who is speaking at AIPAC. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, the old guard of the Democrats. And that says everything you need to know about where the Democrat Party is heading.
Do you think the Jewish people are going to wake up and begin to shift their alliance from the Democrats to the Republicans? They've been a key funding source, I'm sure, for the Democrats.
Mm-hmm. So here's the short answer, Pat. No, but with an asterisk. And that asterisk could be 1, 2, 3 percentage points or so in favor of a Donald Trump or Republicans. And that can make a huge difference in elections, especially if Donald Trump suffers in some sort of other area, whether it be with suburban women or with potentially even evangelicals. And so that asterisk becomes crucial going into 2020. And I think that's important to watch. But why won't they turn? Look, there's a lot to unpack, and we can spend many, many hours discussing this. But, you know, you have the Orthodox Jews that overall are very supportive of Donald Trump. But the American Jews, Reformed American Jews, look, I grew up as a Reformed American Jew, so I get it. I've lived there, and I know the deal. The philosophy is liberal. Therefore, they fit with the Democrats. That's the way they want to go. And they'll say they're pro-Israel, but their philosophy from a liberal standpoint sides with the Democrats, and that is going to be very hard to undo.
Well, David, thank you very much. I appreciate your analysis, and stay well, and we look forward to hearing another report from On the Road with Mike Pompeo. David.